Once a year, on a specific night, Jewish families around the world do something that has not changed in over 3,000 years. They sit down at a table, but they do not eat first. They follow a script, a specific, carefully ordered sequence of words, rituals, foods, and songs that has been performed in essentially the same form since before the Roman Empire existed. Every item on the table means something. Every word spoken has been spoken by Jewish families for 3,000 years. Every question asked has been asked by Jewish children for 3,000 years. And every answer given connects the person sitting at that table, in that moment, to every generation before them that sat at the same table, spoke the same words, and ate the same foods. Most people who have seen this ritual from the outside have no idea what any of it actually means. Today, we are going to find out. Welcome. What you are about to explore is the most celebrated and beloved ritual in all of Jewish home life. A night so carefully designed, with food, with questions, with storytelling, that it has transmitted the most important story in Jewish history from grandparent to grandchild for 3,000 years without interruption. By the end of this video, you will understand not just what happens on this night, but why every single element of it was chosen with extraordinary intention. Before we go further, if these ancient teachings have given you something worth thinking about, subscribe right now. One tap. Every week, this channel goes deeper into the wisdom and traditions of the Jewish people, and this community grows because people like you believe these things deserve to be understood. Subscribe, and let's begin. The night is called the Passover Seder. Seder in Hebrew means simply order, because everything that happens follows a specific, deliberate sequence. 15 steps, each one named, each one carrying its own meaning. The holiday itself is called Pesach, Passover, commemorating the night described in the book of Exodus when God passed over the homes of the Israelites and spared them from the final plague in Egypt. But here is what makes the Seder unlike almost any other religious ritual in the world. It is not primarily a synagogue service. It is a family meal, conducted at home, around a table, with grandparents and children and guests, especially strangers and the needy, who are specifically invited. The Seder is integral to Jewish faith and identity. As explained in the Haggadah, if not for divine intervention and the Exodus, the Jewish people would still be slaves in Egypt. Therefore, the Seder is an occasion for praise and thanksgiving, and for rededication to the idea of liberation. And at the center of the table, a plate, the Seder plate, 6 items, each one a symbol, each one a piece of a story that the entire evening is designed to tell. Let us look at what is on the Seder plate, because nothing here is accidental. The first item, matzah, 3 pieces of unleavened bread, flat, cracker-like, made only of flour and water. Why unleavened? Because when the Israelites left Egypt, they left in such haste that their bread had no time to rise. The matzah is called the bread of affliction, the food of slaves, and also the food of freedom, because it was eaten at the moment of liberation, both things at once, in the same piece of bread. The second item, maror, bitter herbs, usually horseradish or romaine lettuce. The maror is dipped in haroset, a specially prepared mixture of wine, nuts, cinnamon, and apples, symbolizing the bricks and mortar of ancient Egypt. You eat the bitter herb, you feel the bitterness. The rabbis designed it this way deliberately, so that the memory of slavery would not remain abstract. It would be tasted, in the body, for a moment. The third item, sharoset, that same sweet mixture of apples, nuts, and wine that represents the mortar the Israelite slaves used to build the Egyptian cities. Sweet on the outside, representing labor and pain underneath. The fourth, karpas, a green vegetable, usually parsley, dipped in salt water. The green represents spring and new life. The salt water represents the tears of the slaves. Life and tears, hope and suffering, dipped together. The fifth, a roasted shank bone, representing the Passover lamb sacrificed in the temple. The sixth, a roasted egg, symbolizing either the spring season or mourning for the destruction of Jerusalem. Even the egg carries 2 meanings, life and loss, held in the same object. The Seder officially begins with Kiddush, a blessing over the first cup of wine. The 4 cups recall 4 expressions of redemption, God's 4 promises to the forefathers to redeem them from Egypt, each corresponding to a different stage of the Exodus. 4 promises, 4 cups, drunk throughout the night, while reclining. Why reclining? Because in the ancient world, only free people, kings, noblemen, The wealthy ate while reclining on cushions. Slaves ate standing, hurriedly. On this night, the Haggadah instructs, everyone reclines, rich and poor, young and old. Because on this night, everyone is free. And then, a child asks 4 questions, the most famous of them. Why is this night different from all other nights? This question, asked by children for 3,000 years, is the key that unlocks the entire Seder. Because the answer is the Haggadah, the story of the Exodus, told in detail, with songs, with symbols, with drama, so that every person at the table does not merely hear the story, they experience it. It is stated in the Haggadah that in every generation, everyone is obligated to see themselves as if they themselves came out of Egypt, out of slavery. Not their ancestors, themselves. I want to pause here, because what we just described is one of the most sophisticated educational tools ever designed. A ritual that uses food, questions, drama, and storytelling to ensure that no generation forgets where it came from. If this video is giving you something you never knew before, hit the like button right now, 1 second, and it helps more people find these teachings. And if you have not subscribed yet, now is the time. Because what comes next contains 2 moments in the Seder that most people have heard of, but almost nobody understands. Toward the end of the Seder, after the meal, something happens that has captivated Jewish children for generations. A 5th cup of wine is poured, but nobody drinks it. It sits at the center of the table, full, untouched. This is Elijah's cup. The prophet Elijah, in Jewish tradition, is the herald of the Messiah. He will come, tradition teaches, to announce the coming redemption, the final liberation, the completion of the story the Passover Seder has been telling since the beginning. And so, at the moment of greatest joy, at the peak of the Seder celebration, a cup is poured for him. In many families, the front door is opened at this moment. An invitation. Elijah is welcome here. And Jewish children, looking toward the cup, will sometimes swear they can see the wine level drop slightly, as if someone took a sip. The rabbis designed this moment with extraordinary care. In the middle of celebrating past liberation, the door is open to future redemption. The Seder holds both simultaneously, what God has already done and what has not yet happened. And then there is the afikoman, a piece of matzah broken at the beginning of the Seder and hidden somewhere in the house. The children search for it. And here is the secret. The Seder cannot end until the afikoman is found and eaten. The children know this, and so they hold it hostage, negotiating with the adults for prizes, treats, promises. In the middle of the most solemn and sacred night of the Jewish year, the children have power. The rabbis designed this deliberately, because the Seder is not a lecture. It is not a ceremony to be observed in silence. It is a living conversation, and the children are not its audience. They are its future. The Seder ends with 3 words that Jewish families have spoken at the end of every Passover for nearly 2,000 years. L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. During the centuries of exile, when Jewish communities were scattered across Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa, these words were not just a prayer. They were a declaration, a refusal to forget, a statement that this exile, however long it lasted, was not the final state of things, that the story was not over. Jewish families said these words in the ghettos of Eastern Europe, in the mellahs of Morocco, in the displaced persons camps after the Second World War, next year in Jerusalem. And then, in 1948, the State of Israel was established. Jewish people from more than 70 countries began returning to the land their ancestors had been expelled from. And today, Jewish families in Tel Aviv, in Haifa, in Jerusalem itself, say these same 3 words, limdun, and mean something slightly different by them. Not just the return of the physical, but the completion of the spiritual, the final redemption, the world as it is meant to be. 3 words, spoken at the end of every Seder, for 2,000 years, still waiting to be fully answered. A table set with symbols, a script 3,000 years old, questions asked by children, answers carried by the oldest members of the family, bitter herbs tasted in the mouth, wine drunk 4 times, a door opened for a prophet not yet come, a hidden piece of bread that children must find before the night can end, and 3 words spoken at the close that have outlasted every empire that tried to silence them. The Passover Seder is not a ceremony about the past. It is a technology for keeping a people alive. for ensuring that each new generation knows where it came from, what it survived, and what it is still waiting for. And it has worked. For 3,000 years, every spring, it has worked. Before you go, I want to ask you something. Out of everything we explored tonight, the bitter herbs, the 4 cups, Elijah's empty cup, the hidden matzah, the 3 words at the close, which one moved you most? Write it in the comments below. Just tell me which moment and 1 sentence about why. I read every single comment. And this community gives some of the most honest answers I have ever read anywhere. If this video gave you something, hit the like button right now. It helps more people find these teachings. And subscribe, because next week we are exploring another ancient Jewish tradition that happens once a year, one that involves the most powerful sound in all of Jewish worship, and the extraordinary story of how it has been heard on the same day for 3,000 years. 1 tap to subscribe. Thank you for being here. Shalom.